'Cause I'm T.N.T. I'm dynamite. T.N.T. And I'll win the fight. T.N.T. I'm a power load. T.N.T. Watch me explode.
AC/DC are a rock band who are mostly Australian. And they are one of the most successful rock bands of all time. They were formed in 1973 by Malcolm and Angus Young, who were the guitarists, who were brothers. And in 1974, they were joined, as well as other people, by Bon Scott, who was their vocalist for quite a while. In 1975, they released their first album. In 1980, Bon Scott died, unfortunately, and he was replaced by Brian Johnson, who is not Australian. In fact, Wikipedia says Geordie vocalist Brian Johnson, which is true in two senses, because not only was he the vocalist of the band Geordie, he also is a Geordie, as in he comes from Newcastle in England. They've had several other membership changes over the years, but since 1980, Brian Johnson has been their perpetual singer, and they still have Malcolm and Angus Young, who are the driving force behind the band. And so far, they have released 18 studio albums.
Hi, my name's Dan. So this is the third album by AC/DC, or maybe the second, or possibly the first. It kind of depends on what Acclaim Music we're trying to refer to. I think they're referring to the 1976 International High Voltage album. Let's just pick this apart a bit. So their first album was called High Voltage. That was in 1975, but it was released in Australia only. Their second album was called T.N.T. That was also 1975 and was Australia only. And their third album, which was their first international album, was called, again, High Voltage, which took 2 of the 8 tracks from the original High Voltage and 7 of the 9 tracks from T.N.T. So the one that I listened to was the 1976 international version, and I think that's the one that's intended by Acclaim Music. Sometimes it's difficult to work these things out. I think it's the first time I've listened to this album, but I certainly knew at least one of the tracks, maybe 2, I'd come across before. So I'd describe this as being blues rock, definitely kind of on the heavy side, with a slight kind of glam rock feel to it as well. It's a great feel. It's not as heavy as later AC/DC albums became and stuff, but that kind of blues rock is really well executed, and it's got a nice feel, a kind of gutsy grunt to it. The one thing that's unusual is the first track features bagpipes being played by Bon Scott, which is just an unusual take on it. The songs are generally irreverent and kind of cheeky. So Bon Scott's got this amazing voice and this incredible delivery, or had, unfortunately he died. And it's a real rock voice, but it's got this real kind of cheekiness to it, so he can get away with all sorts of stuff that he's doing. And the kind of nuance to his delivery is really good, actually, I would say. It's just such a good rock voice. So there's the songs here. There's basically kind of classic rock stuff about rock and roll, and some innuendo stuff and stuff about women. The attitude to women isn't great. It's not very PC. There's some interesting tracks on here. There's a track called The Jack, which is about a woman, really, but it's playing with a lot of the kind of names of cards and stuff from poker. It doesn't necessarily all make sense to me, but maybe there's slang stuff that I don't know that's being used. Possibly the oddest track in some ways is She's Got Balls. So I don't know if this just means that I'm talking about somebody who has a certain amount of chutzpah, which that could refer to, or whether it's about transvestism. I don't know, and I think they've left that up to you to decide. Another interesting track is Can I Sit Next to You, which is about somebody going to the cinema and asking this girl if he can sit next to them, but it's quite odd in a kind of creepy way. I think it's meant to be. Little Lover. So I did some looking up of Little Lover to see what other people thought it was about. It's certainly about a casual relationship. Somebody picking up, who's in a band picking up somebody in the audience. I think there's a bit of an overtone here of that maybe she's underage, but I'm not sure on that. So maybe I'm pushing that a little bit too far. So there's stuff here that's not, the most savoury stuff, but it's just carried off with such, it works within the context of certainly Bon Scott's voice and the kind of music that you've got. They're obviously really having fun with this, and I had fun listening to it. I do like a bit of AC/DC, and this is a good bit of AC/DC, I would say. And it's definitely, I'd say that they get heavier. They also get a little bit more serious later. This is definitely, they're just tongues firmly in their cheek with this. So I enjoyed it, and I'd love to know what you think of this album. So please let me know, and why not tell me what score you'd give it whilst you're at it. That's it from me for now.
She gave me the queen, she gave me the king. She was wheeling and dealing, just doing her thing. She was holding a pair, but I had to try. Her deuce was